Hello, all my friends out there on Facebook and wherever you are. So this Epstein thing's been going crazy, but I want to try and focus on the British and English element of it because we've got enough of our own problems right now, to be honest, right? So, as you know, this is our Prime Minister, Keir Starmer. He appointed someone called Peter Mandelson to be our US ambassador to the United States while Trump was in office. And he has been found in very controversial, in a very controversial situation where he was friends, very close friends, with Jeffrey Epstein. And more photos and details have emerged of his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, Peter Mandelson claims that because he's homosexual, because he's gay, he didn't know about all the things with abusing girls, which I think is a load of shit. Every single photo in the Epstein files and of him is him either in a bathrobe or his underwear or swimming shorts. I think he went there for the exact same reasons that other paedophiles went there, because Jeffrey Epstein provided them with what they needed and the coverage to do what they did, essentially. I don't accept Peter Mandelson's versions of events because he continued to be friends with him after Jeffrey Epstein was being charged. So, here's Peter Mandelson in the Epstein files, in his underwear, in the middle of Jeffrey Epstein's house, right? I don't know, do you normally attend other people's houses you're not close friends with in your underwear? I don't accept his position. Here's some more photos of him in the Epstein. There's Prince Andrew over at what could be a girl, but we don't know because her face is redacted. There's Fergie, an unknown man, and Prince Andrew again. There's Bill Gates and Jeffrey Epstein. I bet there's no fruit in that bowl ever gets eaten. There's Bill Gates again. Now you look at this little grin on his face. He has that same grin every time he's next to a woman. It's not there though, is it? There's Peter Mandelson again, although he's on a boat. He's not really naked, but he's on a boat. And if you look, Jeffrey Epstein's actually sticking his middle finger up at him while he's taking the photo. That's not his index finger. He's not itching with this finger. He's not itching with he's itching with this finger. He's gone like this while the photo's been taken. What does that tell you? Jeffrey Epstein's literally flipping him off in this photo. You just can hardly tell. That's Woody Allen. And then just Ghislaine Maxwell. So this is what Keir Starmer, our Prime Minister, had to say about Peter Mandelson when it was found out he had a close friendship with Jeffrey Epstein.
The ambassador has repeatedly expressed his deep regret for his association with him. He's right to do so. I have confidence in him, and he's playing an important role in the UK-US relationship.
And the next day, he was gone. He said this, and the next day, that guy was gone. Was he sacked or was he resigned? I'm sure he resigned. Did Mandelson resign? Sacked. Yeah, he was sacked.
This is interesting, Mr. Speaker. He says the ambassador has expressed full regret, but the victims of the paedophile Jeffrey Epstein have called for Lord Mandelson to be sacked. And just so the House is aware...
And he was sacked, to be fair. He was sacked.
This was Peter Mandelson in 2003 on Jeffrey Epstein's private island, waiting for the billionaire paedophile to turn up. It was part of Lord Mandelson's 10...
Now, why would the ambassador and major face in the Labour Party spend hours on a regular basis waiting for Jeffrey Epstein to turn up? Are you telling me he had such a lonely life that he needed to cling to this paedophile for friendship, and he would wait for hours for him just to turn up, to hang around with him? No. There was a purpose he was waiting for him on each and every occasion. Each and every occasion while he was waiting hours for Jeffrey to turn up, it was for a reason. Not because he wanted to hang out, be buddies. That's not why. These are grown men, not little boys, right? But I imagine Jeffrey Epstein was highly likely to be bringing him something like a young man. Not saying a boy. Could have been a consensual young man, but judging by the charges laid against Jeffrey Epstein and the flipping off there, I would assume it was an underage male. But I'm assuming. I have no evidence to suggest otherwise.
Page birthday message to the billionaire who was turning 50. Note how Lord Mandelson refers to the housekeeper and young woman as Epstein's interesting friends.
This is a man who's smart enough to become ambassador to the United States for the Labour Party and the United Kingdom, but he's not smart enough to work out that these aren't interesting friends. Like, a politician knows how to word things in a way where it doesn't give away what they know and what their intentions are. Like, they all practice it on a daily basis. That's why I think lying as a politician or misleading the public with words intentionally should be a criminal offence.
Mandelson says he didn't know Epstein was a paedophile and sexual abuser.
Yeah, he's just sitting there in his bathrobes looking like he's just shagged someone who I bet wasn't his husband, because he is gay. This is why he's covering his ass, by the way. It's trying to protect his assets from his husband divorcing him. It most likely has nothing to do with him being ousted, because he'll be already well known within certain communities for what he's done. He just doesn't want his husband to know and have evidence to use against him because he'd lose money. Like, this is literally what some people are. They care more about protecting their money than the mother of their children or the father of their children or their husband or their wife or even their children. Some people are literally disgusting people who think money is more important than fresh water. More important than a child's health. Some people would literally happily try and give another person cancer, even though that doesn't work. People have tried it in the past. You can't give other people cancer. It doesn't work. Well, not by giving them a tumour. That was from you. Or anyway, not get into it. Giving bad people good ideas. So yeah, I don't buy Peter Mandelson's story. I do not buy it at all. He looks like a man who's just literally shagged someone, washed, and come outside, and Jeffrey's talking to him about it. It looks like Jeffrey's kind of taking photos of each and every person, each and every time he's delivered them something, in my opinion.
And at the time called him my best pal, and that we love you.
We love you. Ah, so your partner was in on it as well. So maybe your partner, Peter Mandelson, should be interviewed by the police regarding the Epstein case if you're not fucking talking to them. Because I tell you what, if I was the British police force, I would have you under arrest right now, under caution. Not under criminal charges. I would arrest you under caution and interview you regarding what information you had relating to Jeffrey Epstein's activities in the United Kingdom, which is where the British police have jurisdiction, right? Because if you're aware about certain things and we find out certain information and you claimed you weren't aware about it and you were aware about it, I'd lock you the fuck up, Mandelson. But your partner, he might just be an innocent victim in all this who wasn't aware about your shady dealings with Jeffrey Epstein, and you just tagged them along, made out it was some fun thing, blah, 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 and you're actually protecting him. But we can protect him from you, it's fine.
A few years later, however, Mandelson did know the Florida police were pursuing Epstein for paedophile offences, including with a 14-year-old. This was revealed tonight in a stash of more than 100 emails obtained by Bloomberg News.
You know, in my country, now I'm not advocating anything here. In my country, Britain, the age of consent is 16, so a 14-year-old is considered a child, and it's paedophilia. If this had been in Germany, no offence, Germany, you do whatever you want, but your age of consent is 14 for someone who is not over the age of 21. So that's kind of gross. It's gross. What's France's? Let's have a look at France and Spain. France is 15. That's still disgusting. I think the age of consent should be 18. Personally speaking, I think it should be 18. Sounds stupid. Spain. Spain 16. Good on you, Spain. Better than fucking 14, you German dirty bastards. Portugal. 14 again. You 14 years old in Portugal. You see what I mean? The thing about Prince Andrew, right, is that she was 17. So in my country, she could fucking drive a car and she's classed as a legally consenting adult. But in the state in America where it happened, the age of consent is 18. She's classed as a minor. Andrew's then a paedophile. It's a crazy thing we're dealing with here. It's a crazy thing with here. Because these are all dirty old men who don't feel good about themselves anymore. So they try and use these young females and take advantage of them to make themselves feel like they're the man or they're the alpha or, you know what I mean? They're attractive to gain that confidence back. Or just because they're sick, psychopathic, murderous paedophiles. I don't know. It's one of the two. And Jeffrey Epstein obviously was working for the Israeli government or something similar. And there is rumours that he's still actually alive and in hiding. And he will never be seen again. But he is apparently alive in the Middle East. So the rumours on the internet say, which would explain why it took them 5 minutes to get him out the cell. He wasn't killed. They had to get him out with no one seeing. Which will be why the staff randomly went on lunch and missed the... Oh, whatever.
In May 2006, when Epstein was facing possible charges of 4 counts of unlawful sexual activity with a minor and 1 of lewd and lascivious molestation, Mandelson wrote to him, "I'm following you closely and here whenever you need."
Now, personally speaking, right, if I was being charged with that sort of crime against a 14-year-old, I don't think I would have prominent members of political parties messaging me with support. I don't think that would be happening. I don't think that would be happening. In fact, when I was wrongly charged with shouting at someone who had violently assaulted me, and I was right to shout at them for it because they shouldn't have laid their hands on me, I ended up getting wrongly charged for it, for common assault, causing someone to fear for their safety. But they feared for their safety because they had assaulted me, not because I shouted at them. So it was a load of bullshit. But I didn't get any support from the government or any prominent political figures. But here's Peter Mandelson supporting someone during a conviction for paedophilia. It's an interesting world we live in, really. It's an interesting world. How innocent people get spat and shat on while paedophiles are being worshipped and given jobs of presidency. And ambassadors to the United States.
A month later, he wrote
Prince of England. Well, formerly known as Prince.
again to Epstein. "Worried that I haven't heard from you. Are you seeing them off and winning?" Then, in February 2008, Mandelson wrote, "Reminder, you're fighting back, so you need..."
We also do need to ask the question, what is going on while we're all talking about the Epstein files? Like, while we're all talking about the Epstein files, what's Russia doing? What invasions has Trump done? Like, what's going on? We're going to hear nothing but the Epstein files for weeks now. So I think we're going to end up being fucked over while we're looking at this. Because they're like, oh, look over here while they rob us. You know what I mean? That's usually what happens.
Strategy. Remember, the art of war. And then, on the day before Epstein went to prison for 13 months, Mandelson wrote to the billionaire, "I think the world of you, and I feel hopeless and furious about what has happened. I can still barely understand it." And he continued, "You have to be incredibly resilient. Fight for early release."
Oh, so he was fully aware he was in jail convicted of sex offences against a minor, and then he's telling him to be resilient and to fight for early release. This is the United Kingdom's ambassador to the United States, from the Labour Party, by the way. Labour Party. God. What are you doing? You're hiring people like this, but you wouldn't give me a fucking job to help reduce violence against men and boys. What the fuck is wrong with you, the British government? What the fuck is wrong with you? Are you stupid?
Your friends stay with you and love you. Earlier today...
You'll use my ideas and do them wrong, GB Energy, the National Wealth Fund. You still haven't given 16 and 17-year-olds the right to vote, by the way. Keir Starmer. Twat. And you'll give paedophiles protection and their friends protection. You'll even make one of them ambassadors to the United States to one of the other paedophiles' best friends. But you won't help an innocent man who the Northumberland police broke their human rights. It's been proven. They admitted it, actually. And then tried to cover it up by changing the complaint from a human rights abuse complaint to a neighbourhood resolution complaint when I was so mentally unwell I didn't know what they were doing. So was not mentally able to authorise what they did, even though they made me sign a paper to say I was mentally unwell to do what I did, but I was not mentally unwell to do what I did, as was proven by the fact I was held under the Mental Health Act shortly afterwards. So what they did was actually perjury and illegal fraud. So we've got that to deal with. And then the false conviction I've already proven with evidence I was actually violently assaulted, shouted at them. And so I didn't cause them to fear for their safety. They feared for their safety because they were expecting a violent retaliation to their violent assault. But I did not violently retaliate. I just shouted at them and removed them from my personal space. There was no violence at all. So I did not make them fear for their safety. They made themselves fear for their own safety because they had accidentally, they didn't intentionally mean to push me through the wardrobe, but did. So how come the British government, Keir Starmer, defended this guy in Prime Minister's Question Time, literally a paedophile's best friend, someone who defended him while he was convicted of paedophilia, wrote to him while he was in jail for paedophilia, was still in his position as the ambassador to the United States, appointed by Keir Starmer until September last year, years after Jeffrey Epstein was murdered or disappeared from federal prison. We know it wasn't suicide. But they won't help me with something I've already dealt with. They just need to tick the boxes. Oh, yes, is he innocent? Yes, done. I've already proved my innocence. This guy has not proven his innocence, in my opinion. Yet the government's defending him. Where's the justice in this world? I just don't understand what's wrong with you all. I just don't get it. I do not fucking get it. Why should I have to go and spend £20,000-30,000 on some solicitor who hasn't got the bollocks or spine to take on the British government anyway, because they want a cushy job in the CPS or cushy roles prosecuting or defending people from the CPS, so they don't want to prosecute the CPS and the police and the British government because they haven't got literally the bollocks to do it. So I've proven it, right? So why should I have to spend £30,000, £20,000 to prove something I've already proved? It makes no fucking sense. And then they're defending this guy.
Before Bloomberg's email disclosures, Mandelson told the new YouTube show Harry Cole Saves the West that he no longer loves Epstein.
I regret very, very deeply indeed carrying on that association with him for far longer than I should have done.
How long was it?
Oh, it was a matter of years after I initially met him, and I regret very much that I fell for his lies. I fell and accepted assurances that he...
You should feel more bad that you're defending your own friendships with a paedophile when you were a member of the British government, yet you wouldn't defend an innocent man who was wrongly convicted. If you were so bothered that you were wrongly charged or wrongly accused of something that you felt you were innocent of, you would go out your way to try and protect other innocent people and their rights. You don't seem to be doing that. If you look at me, even though no one stood up for my fucking rights and the law was broken, and the British government made massive mistakes, and so did the police, and nothing's been done. Still, to this day, nothing's been done. I'm left to deal with the shit I was caused, right? It's unbelievable. If you care about other people and defending them, that's what you would do. I've spent years now trying to defend others from suffering what I suffered. So you can always tell when someone's lying about they didn't really suffer this shit, because they don't defend anyone else over it. So why is he very quiet since September, apart from this interview? This is the only time he said anything.
He had given me about his indictment, his original criminal case in Florida. Like very many people, I took at face value what he said.
I'd like to have that actually.
There he is with Donald Trump as the ambassador to the United States.
Lord Mandelson is one of the most important members of Keir Starmer's government, having been appointed by the Prime Minister personally as British ambassador in Washington in December of last year. This was Mandelson just days ago.
That was 2024 he was appointed.
Praising the American president.
I credit
Here he is praising Trump for being Jeffrey Epstein's friend as well.
President Trump's political instincts in identifying the anxieties.
The leader of the opposition scented an opportunity to humiliate Starmer.
Does the Prime Minister have full confidence in Peter Mandelson?
The ambassador has repeatedly expressed his deep regret for his association with him. He's right to do so. I have confidence in him, and he's playing an important role in the UK-US relationship.
Victims of the paedophile Jeffrey Epstein have called for Lord Mandelson to be sacked.
So what did Keir Starmer know when he appointed Mandelson to Washington?
Full due process was followed during...
Probably a lot more than he's ever going to tell anyone, because he was head of the CPS and he also was Jimmy Savile's legal defendant and got him off with his charges. This is the problem with a lawyer. You see, when a police officer does a good job, they catch a criminal and they end up getting charged and put in jail, and society is safer. When a lawyer does a good job, not every time, but when a lawyer or solicitor or legal prosecutor does a good job, or defendant does a good job, they sometimes defend people who are guilty of the crime and get them off with it. And so they make society more dangerous. And they get an evil human being off with evil crimes. This man, if we can call him that, Starmer, the llama, right, defended Jimmy Savile. Now, I'm sorry, right, as a doctor, right, you're supposed to save someone's life, blah, 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 Hippocratic oath. But if you brought me in a doctor and I was like, okay, we've got some bloke here who's murdered 100 women and 20 children and he needs heart surgery, right? The doctor is allowed to refuse, but they'd lose their medical license. The solicitors are the same, right? So he was appointed and had to legally defend Savile and got him off with all the charges. Like, you have to have a point where profession is not is restricted by your morality. Currently, the professional world is not restricted by morality. Let's be honest. A lawyer can make a lot of money defending murderers, paedophiles, and rapists, and helping women win divorces, even though they don't deserve any money, and get them all the money so they get a bigger commission. We know this happens, and Starmer, unfortunately, is in the position where he has. Well, I think he's got to go. I think he's got to go. Not only did he defend Jimmy Savile, which helped him get off with his crimes, not only was he head of the CPS, and he's a human rights lawyer, not only did he use my three policies from my 2017 manifesto to win the election, and he's fucked them up so far, although I'm not sure about the wealth fund, that might be alright. He's fucked up GB Energy, and he's fucked up, he hasn't given 16 and 17-year-olds the right to vote. So he's fucked up. He defended Jimmy Savile, right? And he's defended Peter Mandelson. He even appointed him as ambassador. So he clearly doesn't do his research when he's appointing people to these serious roles, does he? He clearly doesn't do his research properly, otherwise he wouldn't keep U-turning. And he went over to America and pretty much gave Donald Trump a foot massage while he delivered a letter for the king as if he was some butler. Now, I will say he's done a better job, as far as I can tell, than any Tory leader in my lifetime. Things are looking slightly better. It's not his ability to make improvements I'm bringing into question. I'm bringing into question his credibility as a moral leader, as a moral man, a man of integrity, a man of decency, a man who protects victims of human rights abuse, because he doesn't protect victims of human rights abuse, because I wrote to him about my human rights abuse at the hands of Northumbria Police while I was in their illegal detention and they admitted to it. It was covered up. He has access to all this information. He could have resolved my entire life's biggest nightmare like that. But he's on TV defending fucking people's friendships with paedophiles and that, you know? He's going over visiting paedophiles' best friends and delivering letters for a paedophile's best friend's brother. Like, it's just... He was also a paedophile's fucking legal defendant. He doesn't have the moral compass to be the leader of the British people anymore. I think the Labour Party have done an alright job, and he doesn't deserve all the credit, but I do think that he does... It's not that he's bad at the job, right? It's that he lacks the moral compass to be our leader. He just does. He's a shady, shifty lawyer. If he cared about human rights, why didn't he resolve my simple human rights issue? The police admitted to breaching EU human rights law on 2 counts. They wrote to me admitting to it. They denied the 3rd count of denying me legal representation, but they did deny me legal representation. They still admitted the other 2 counts of not giving me enough food and not giving me enough water, and claimed it was because it was a newly built police station. It's about as effective as Peter Mandelson claiming he didn't know Jeffrey Epstein was a paedophile because he's gay. Alright? So, my opinion is Starmer's got to go. Starmer's got to go because he's defended Mandelson, he's defended Jimmy Savile, he helped King Charles, which is Andrew's brother, who was best friends with Epstein, deliver a letter to Charles, to Trump, who was also best friends with Epstein. I'm sorry, I don't feel comfortable with this person as the leader of the British people. I just don't feel comfortable with that. I don't feel comfortable with King Charles as king, but one thing at a time. I think we should make the monarchy democratic. It's a ceremonial position anyway. Basically, we're just freeing the Windsors from their life of servitude, although they get paid for it, so it's not really servitude. And we make it democratic. So whoever, we don't change the country into a republic. We keep it a democratic monarchy, and the monarchy remains a ceremonial position. And every 5 years, we vote in a new king or queen. They have to be British born, only British born people. And it's just a ceremonial thing, you know. We massively ramp down the taxpayers' expense to the royal family. We save ourselves a fortune, and we free them from the poshest prison that ever existed. So that's what we do. Get rid of Starmer. We modernise the monarchy rather than get rid of it. I don't want to be a republic. I'm quite happy being a democratic monarchy, but we do need to modernise it. If something had happened to King Charles, which I'm not suggesting ever would, but if something had happened to him, Andrew could have been king. We would have had Andrew as king. So no, the monarchy needs changed. Starmer needs changed. The Labour Party needs to get him gone now. I would actually be alright with David Lammy just because it'd be funny. Because it would piss off all the racists. If David Lammy ended up becoming Prime Minister, the racists in this country would literally end up getting sectioned because they'd have a nervous breakdown at the idea that not only are the Labour Party in charge, but a black man was in charge. Not that it matters that he's black, by the way. I don't give a fuck David Lammy's black. But it would be good just to piss off all the racists. That would be so funny.
This appointment, as it is with all...
I think Starmer gone. And I think many of the country will agree with me. Because this... You have to live by your actions and choices. I don't understand how he became Prime Minister from defending Savile in the first place. Anyone who ever defended Jimmy Savile should never be allowed anywhere near any seat of power. Anyone who was associated with Jimmy Savile should not be allowed any position of power. It's as simple as that, and it's the same with Jeffrey Epstein. If you associate with paedophiles, whether knowingly or unknowingly, you should not be allowed to be Prime Minister. I'm sorry. It shows you lack judgment. You have poor judgment. Now, associating is very subjective, I guess. Crossing someone in the street, maybe talking to someone is different to having a friendship. Like, it's different. And if you do have a friendship with a paedophile and you didn't know they're a paedophile, it does show slightly poor judgment. But how are you supposed to know, I guess? But still. when you're a human rights lawyer who's Prime Minister, you should fucking know these things. Get him gone. I hope you're gone by the end of this year, Starmer. All because, right, the only reason I hope so is because you're willing to defend people's friendships with Jeffrey Epstein, but you're not willing to defend the human rights abuse of an innocent British citizen by a British government agency when you're the head of the British government. I've went through the ladder. I've done all the complaints. I went to the CPS complaint. I complained to Northumberland Police. I complained to the Independent Police Complaints Commission. I complained to Parliament. I wrote letters to all MPs. I wrote letters to the King, even the Queen when she was alive, and Starmer. I wrote a letter to Sunak about it. And I'm sick. Like, do your fucking job. I have already solved this case. And if you had have resolved this matter for me, which I've already done, and just tick the box, that's all you need to do, right? Instead of defending people's relationships with a paedophile, I might have defended you here. But how can I defend a man who won't defend me for what is right when he is defending others for what is wrong? Ask yourself that. Fucking U-turn Starmer. Honestly, I hope you're gone by the end of the year. Hope you're gone.